Today's lesson is on diffusion. In this lesson, we will explain why diffusion happens quicker in gases than in liquids. We will define the word diffusion and describe how diffusion occurs in gases and liquids. So why are we learning this? Particle scientists look at how particles behave and study their properties. They earn approximately between £17,000 to £40,000. Some cultures do not believe in the particle theory. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of a substance from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. We will look at some examples of these. Diffusion happens in liquids and gases only, and this is because the particles move randomly from place to place, because they have gaps between the particles. Diffusion is an important process for living things. It is how substances move in and out of cells. So what is diffusion? In gases and liquids, we've already mentioned, particles move from place. The particles collide with each other or with their container. This makes them change direction. Eventually, the particles are spread through the whole container. Diffusion happens on its own, without stirring or shaking. Below is an example. So you have an example of some water there, and we add some dye in, and eventually the particles will spread out and it will be evenly distributed. We refer to this as diffusion. There are many different examples of diffusion that take place in your homes. For example, through gases when you are baking. So if you are baking a cake in one room and half an hour later you smell the cake being baked, that's because the diffusion of the gases in the air. Why is diffusion useful? We use diffusion on a daily basis. Plants also use it on a daily basis. In living things, substances move in and out of cells by diffusion. For example, respiration. Respiration produces waste carbon dioxide, causing the amount of carbon dioxide to increase in the cell. We obviously need to get rid of this carbon dioxide. Eventually, the carbon dioxide concentration in the cell is higher than that in the surrounding blood. The carbon dioxide then diffuses out through the cell membrane and into the blood. Plants also use diffusion on a daily basis. Water diffuses into the plants through their roots hair cells. The water moves from an area of high concentration to an area of a lower concentration in the roots hair cell. We will look at the difference between a high concentration and low concentration on the next two slides. So what's the difference here? So this is an analogy of not actual liquids or gases, but you've got lots of people together and then you've got one person on their own. Why is there a high concentration of people? Let's look at this in detail. High concentration means lots and lots of something in one particular space. A low concentration is a very small amount in one space. So the person on their own was a low concentration, but all the people together was a high concentration. The same analogy, the same theory applies to particles in diffusion.